My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, I speak to you about a serious matter. A bill has been introduced into Parliament which, if passed, will allow doctors to supply lethal drugs to people with an incurable illness. In effect, physician-assisted suicide. In today's readings, we are reminded that Jesus Christ entered fully into our suffering. It is not as if we had a high priest who was incapable of feeling our weakness, the letter to the Hebrews reminds us. Jesus knew the reality of suffering and death from the inside. He gave his life for us all. Our experience of death and of dying takes place against this transcendent horizon. We believe every person is made for God and called to be with God forever. All human life is sacred. This message is not just for people of faith, but for all people of goodwill, because the proposals for physician-assisted suicide are not just contrary to the dignity and sanctity of human life. They pose grave dangers to the most vulnerable in our society. Cherishing life means building a culture where every person is included and the diversity of individuals is not seen as a burden. If the bill were to become law, the experience of countries such as Canada, Belgium, the Netherlands, and some parts of the United States of America show that the most vulnerable very quickly feel at risk. In the state of Oregon, often suggested as a model for proponents of assisted suicide in the UK, over 47% of people who accept it cited being a burden on family, friends, and caregivers as a reason. Belgium has extended an initial permission to adults to allow voluntary euthanasia of children. It has seen some extraordinary individual cases. Euthanasia for someone with anorexia nervosa, for someone who regretted gender reassignment, and of two twin brothers who feared losing their sight. Supporters of this bill will say that these cases are not possible under the proposed law in our country. Yet the history of such legislation shows that once permission is given for one set of circumstances, it is soon extended for other situations. But we should not only be concerned about this slippery slope in the proposed law, nor should supporters of the bill try to see our opposition as merely a religious matter. The deeper question is the inherent dignity of every person, especially those who may be disabled, elderly, or vulnerable. If, as a society, we facilitate suicide for certain categories of people, in this case those who are terminally ill, and seek to prevent the suicides of others, the healthy and the young, then we're ultimately saying that some lives are less worthy than others. Those who argue for a change in the law say that it's about dying, not about other vulnerable people. However, when they present their arguments, they appeal not to the reality of someone's approaching death. They speak rather about the alleged indignity of being dependent on another, or of reduced mental capacity, or the fear of being a burden on family or friends. But to say as a society that these are intolerable would ultimately be to condemn every disabled, elderly, and vulnerable person. There would be a sense that the floodgates would open as huge pressure was put on those who are most vulnerable. There would be, in a way, a call or a duty to die. Many would feel insecure about their future and conclude that they are a burden on loved ones or their health services. The new bill marks a very serious moment for our country. It raises serious questions about what sort of society we want to be. Especially of concern is whether we wish to promote a proper care of the dying and of those who are vulnerable through disability or age. Surely we must treasure and value these individuals among us. Our countries have such a rich tradition of care for the dying. This loving care we should invest more in. It is good to see that those opposed to a change in the law includes a diverse group of medical professionals, especially but not only from the field of palliative care. Support from disability rights organisations, researchers, carers, and a range of other concerned institutions and individuals. I urge you write to or email your local MP to express your concerns about the bill. There is information on the Right to Life website, which you can get their details from the poster in your local church. Thank you, and please pray for me.